the approval from FSOC and the other relevant U.S. financial regulators.
Yeah, I was pleased to hear you say that. Now, there is a mechanism that you've talked about that you wanted to roll out, or I guess you've already begun to do that, which would be some kind of a review mechanism. Can you share that? A review mechanism that would, in some ways, tell you, an independent group would tell you what they believe to be violations of human rights that end up in Facebook and so forth.
Thank you, Congressman. I believe you're talking about the issues around content and hate speech and areas like that. Yes. So this has been an area where, our principles, we want to give people is as much voice and as wide a definition of freedom of expression as possible. But of course, there are going to be some things that infringe on others' rights or can cause harm. And one of the things that we've struggled with is how do you develop a nuanced set of policies that can identify all of the different types of harms. We've talked about a number today, including terrorism and child exploitation and aspects of hate speech or health misinformation or there's about 20 different categories that we track all in, and we develop policies. We now have more than 35,000 people at the company who work on safety and security overall. We spend billions of dollars a year on hate speech or our budget health misinformation security is now greater than the whole revenue of our company was at the time that we went public. We developed in 2012, so it's a big effort. But nonetheless, I believe that it should not sit on any one company's shoulders to make so many important decisions about speech. So one of the things that I've tried to focus on doing is building an independent oversight board that will consist of people with diverse backgrounds and views and is global, but who all value freedom of expression. And this group will be able to make final binding decisions on what content stays up and comes down on Facebook that even I or our team won't be able to overrule. So it'll create a check and balance and oversight of our company's operations.
How do you extricate yourself from that, from the body that you would be created?
Congressman, the way we are setting this up is so that we will appoint the first set of co-chairs for the body, and we hope to do this in the next few months. And then they will nominate a set of other members, and we will jointly agree on them. Once the board is up and running, it will nominate and kind of refill itself. So we will not be involved in the selection process after that.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The gentleman from Colorado, Mr. Tipton, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Zuckerberg, a number of my colleagues I'm over here to your left.
There you go.
Okay. But they've expressed some consideration that needs to be taken in regards of the prospective payments industry within the Libra Association. As you're well aware, a number of businesses that have had extensive experience in international payments, MasterCard, Visa, have pulled out of that association. Would you view Facebook as an expert in the payments industry?
Congressman, we're not traditionally primarily a payments company, but the person who's running the Calibra subsidiary for us, David Marcus, was president of PayPal before, which is one of the great payments companies. And we certainly have other financial experts on the management team and board of the company.
You'd also noted in your testimony today that you're going to be looking for U.S. regulatory approval in terms of AML, BSA, to be able to make sure that Facebook, for its part within the association, will continue to participate. If the Libra Association can't satisfy those regulations with the U.S. regulations are in place, will Calibra pull out of the association?
Congressman, the short answer would be yes. If we don't come up with a solution that gets the U.S. regulatory approval, then presumably we'll continue working on the proposal until we can, but we're not going to launch anything that doesn't have U.S. regulatory approval.
So the wallet portion of this you would pull out?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
You would pull out on the wallet portion of this with the Calibra?
The case that I was referring to before where we might be required to pull out is if the association independently decides to move forward on something that we're not comfortable with. But right now, I think my understanding is that everyone is aligned on making sure that we have U.S. regulatory approval to launch anywhere in the world, and that's the goal and that's the plan.
From what you know currently of how it's being structured, is there an internal monitor in place? Could you describe that in regards to AML BSA?
Congressman, sure. There are multiple levels of the work here. So there's going to be some work at the network level, so at the Libra Association level, the architecture of the system itself, that supersedes all of the individual work that the companies are doing to implement this. And then, of course, the companies that are members of the association or are transacting using this payment system will be responsible for themselves implementing and following those rules. So within Facebook, we have a big effort to make sure that we can verify people's identities and authenticate them. This predates Calibra. And we do this today on, if someone wants to run political ads or run a large page.
I do appreciate that, but one of the concerns with Facebook, and then perhaps potential participation with Libra, Calibra, that's going to be going in, you'd had major hacks losing personal information for millions of users that have gone through. What assurances are actually going to be in place to make sure that the users with the most sensitive information that you can have in terms of finances are going to be protected, and then also, again, including BSA and anti-money laundering?
Thanks, Congressman. The payment information that people share is stored separately from other information in our services, and all of our information is stored securely, and we work hard on security. This is especially secure, and I don't think we've had an issue with this to date. We do, even though we haven't launched Calibra as a product yet, we do take payments for a number of things today, ranging from fundraisers to people buying ads, and we have a secure tier in our data center focused on payment information, and that has worked well so far. We also, as part of—
You've had no data breaches in that field?
My understanding is we haven't had any issues on that in the payment area.
Okay, thank you on that. One of the issues that I am concerned about is are we going to be able to use, if Libra comes into place, can we use it to buy anything that is legal in this country? Would you support that?
Congressman, I think the intent would certainly be to have it be, give people as much control over what they want to do as possible. Of course, there are certain types of goods that are regulated and that require additional process to allow that. And then there are certain content policies that I just think we haven't developed yet. That's much further downstream of where we are now, of basically just trying to make sure that we can architect a system that works and that gets the appropriate regulatory approvals.
The committee will now take a 5-minute recess.